Relationships are a crucial part of life. They offer love, companionship, and support. But for many people, especially those who have experienced trauma or emotional challenges, relationships can be fraught with difficulties. Whether it's constantly being involved in high conflict dynamics, choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, or struggling to set healthy boundaries, these challenges can make relationships feel like a battlefield rather than a place of safety and connection. For those who've experienced past trauma, especially in childhood, relationship difficulties are often a reflection of unresolved emotional wounds. The patterns we fall into, whether it's arguing with loved ones, trying to fix people, or feeling lonely even when we're with someone, are deeply connected to how we've learned to relate to others and ultimately to ourselves. In this video, we'll explore 5 common signs of relationship difficulties, along with real-life scenarios to show how these patterns can manifest. We'll also discuss ways to begin shifting these unhealthy dynamics toward healthier, more fulfilling relationships. What are relationship difficulties? Relationship difficulties refer to the recurring patterns of conflict, disconnection, or instability that many people face in their interactions with others. These challenges can appear in romantic relationships, friendships, or family dynamics, and often involve emotional turmoil, unmet needs, and difficulty maintaining a sense of balance and harmony. For those who struggle with relationship difficulties, the pain often stems from deeper emotional wounds, such as fear of abandonment, unresolved trauma, or unmet emotional needs. These wounds can lead to behaviors like overgiving, people-pleasing, or pushing others away, which then perpetuate the very cycles of conflict and loneliness they are trying to avoid. Common signs of relationship difficulties. Let's dive into 5 common signs of relationship difficulties and use real-life scenarios to show how these patterns play out. 1. Frequently arguing or having conflicts with friends, family, or partners. If you find yourself regularly involved in arguments or conflicts with those close to you, this may be a sign of unresolved emotional issues or unmet needs. The constant tension can stem from feeling misunderstood, unappreciated, or even fearful of losing the relationship. 1. The endless arguments. You're in a romantic relationship, and it feels like you're constantly fighting over small things. Who forgot to do the dishes, why someone didn't text back right away, or how plans fell through. These arguments often spiral into larger fights about the relationship itself, leaving both of you feeling hurt and disconnected. Even when you're not fighting, the tension lingers, and it feels like walking on eggshells around each other. Frequent arguments can be a sign that there are unspoken fears or insecurities driving the conflict. While the fights may seem to be about minor issues, they often point to deeper emotional needs that aren't being addressed. 2. Feeling a need to fix people or be in relationships where you're constantly helping someone. Many people who struggle with relationship difficulties find themselves drawn to relationships where they take on the role of the fixer. This pattern often involves seeking out people who need help or support, which can lead to codependent dynamics where your own needs are sidelined in favor of taking care of the other person. 2. The fixer role. You've started dating someone new, and early on you notice they have a lot of personal struggles, whether it's financial difficulties, emotional instability, or unresolved trauma. Instead of being concerned, you feel a strong pull to help them. You offer advice, provide emotional support, and even sacrifice your own time and resources to make sure they're okay. But as time goes on, you realize that you're always the one giving, and they rarely reciprocate or work on their issues. The relationship feels one-sided, but you don't know how to step out of the helper role. This desire to fix or save someone often stems from a fear of not being needed or valued in relationships. It can also be a way to avoid dealing with your own emotional needs by focusing on someone else's problems. 3. Repeatedly choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable or abusive. A common pattern for those with relationship difficulties is repeatedly choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, distant, or even abusive. This pattern can be difficult to break, as the familiarity of these toxic dynamics can feel comfortable, even if it's harmful. 3. The emotionally distant partner. You've been in several relationships, and each time you find yourself with someone who struggles to express their emotions or commit fully. They may be charming at first, but as the relationship progresses, they pull away, avoid deep conversations, or refuse to engage emotionally. You end up feeling lonely and unimportant, constantly trying to get them to open up, but they remain distant. Despite knowing this pattern isn't healthy, you find yourself drawn to the same type of person over and over. Choosing emotionally unavailable partners can be a way of unconsciously protecting yourself from deeper intimacy. If you've experienced trauma or abandonment, being with someone who is distant may feel safer than risking the vulnerability of a fully available partner. Struggling to set boundaries or saying yes to things you don't want to do. Boundary issues are a common struggle in relationships, particularly for those who have a history of trauma or emotional neglect. You may find it difficult to say no or express your own needs, leading to feelings of resentment or burnout. 4. The overgiver. You're the go-to person for your friends and family, always available to help out, lend a hand, or offer advice. But you've noticed that you rarely say no, even when you're exhausted or don't want to do something. Whether it's staying late at work to help a colleague or agreeing to plans you're not excited about, you often put others' needs before your own. Over time, this leaves you feeling drained and resentful, but you struggle to set boundaries because you don't want to disappoint anyone. Struggling to set boundaries often stems from a fear of rejection or abandonment. Saying yes to everything can feel like a way to keep people close, but it often leads to burnout and feelings of being taken advantage of. 5. Feeling lonely, even when you are in a relationship. Because you can't seem to connect, loneliness within a relationship is a painful experience, as it can feel even more isolating than being alone. This often happens when there is a lack of emotional connection or intimacy, leaving you feeling disconnected even when you're with someone. 5. The lonely relationship. You're in a long-term relationship, but lately, you've been feeling incredibly lonely. You and your partner spend time together, go out, and talk about your day-to-day lives, but something feels missing. There's a lack of emotional depth, and you can't shake the feeling that you're drifting apart. Even when you're physically close, you feel emotionally distant, as though you're both just going through the motions. This sense of loneliness in relationships often occurs when emotional needs aren't being met, even if the relationship seems fine on the surface. It's important to recognize these feelings and address them with your partner. How to start healing relationship difficulties. While relationship difficulties can feel overwhelming, they are often rooted in patterns that can be shifted with awareness and effort. Here are some steps to begin healing and fostering healthier relationships. 1. Therapy. Working with a therapist, especially one who specializes in trauma or attachment issues, can help you identify and understand the patterns driving your relationship difficulties. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, or attachment-based therapy can be particularly helpful in addressing these challenges. 2. Setting boundaries. Learning to set clear, healthy boundaries is key to maintaining balanced relationships. Start by practicing saying no when something doesn't align with your needs, and communicate your boundaries clearly and respectfully. 3. Choosing healthy partners. Breaking the cycle of choosing emotionally unavailable or toxic partners requires self-awareness and a commitment to seeking out healthier relationships. Focus on building connections with people who are emotionally available, communicative, and respectful of your boundaries. 4. Addressing your own needs. It's important to recognize your own emotional needs and take steps to meet them. Whether it's through self-care, therapy, or honest communication with your partner, prioritizing your needs is essential for fostering healthy, fulfilling relationships. Building healthier connections. Relationship difficulties are common, but they don't have to define your interactions with others. By recognizing the patterns that may be holding you back and taking steps to address them, you can begin to cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Whether it's through setting boundaries, seeking support, or choosing healthier partners, healing is possible, and you deserve relationships that bring you joy, connection, and mutual respect.